Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 281. Andrew Eisen here to complain about my rent. Not the musical rent, although that's, well, worth complaining about. No, the money I have to pay in order to live in this 800 square feet of bliss. So, in 2015, I was living in a small 405 square feet studio apartment, 72 square feet of which was my balcony, in Pacific Beach. And my rent went way up. Way up. Like 300 and some odd dollars up. Would have been over $1,500. And I said, okay, I can't afford that. I have to move. Lyrically see, hello. So I moved here. And while I paid more than I was at Pacific Beach, I was still paying less than, much less than I would have been paying had I stayed in Pacific Beach. Plus, I'm in a one-bedroom now. And it's like almost twice the size of my studio apartment. You did give me $10 for rent that week. So, I'm not, I have a very specific thing I'm complaining about, but I'm building up to it. I've got to set the scene. It requires context, you see. So I moved here. And things were good. Then 2017 rolled around, and my rent went up by $100. And I went, yee! Now, this was also a time where my work had said, hey, you don't get to do the off-hours helpline anymore, because we don't want to pay you to do that. That was really helpful, the off-hours helpline. Because that was extra monies. So that was a source of income that I no longer had. So that's when I started my Patreon, and that's when I, seeing, can I get enough money out of Patreon to cover the increase in rent? Answer is no. But I certainly appreciate the Patreon monies, which to this day I use to do fun things for the channel, like, stuff for the Extra Life charity event and things like of that nature. So I worked on my career, and I'm breaking even, doing okay. What's funny is my I get paid every other week, so I get a bi-weekly paycheck. And what's funny is the amount of money I make, the 80 hours on my bi-weekly paycheck, just so happens to be exactly my rent. So that works out kind of fun. Sadly, my rent does not cover things like the gas bill, which is only a few bucks a month, so that's not terrible. But or the power bill, which has nearly doubled in the last year for some reason. SDG&E just kind of hiked their rates, I guess. We do occasionally get, every year we get like a nice rebate. Which ends up, so like I think next month my power bill will be what it was 2 years ago instead of what it is every month. So yeah, one paycheck goes to rent, and then the other paycheck goes to everything else. Power, gas for the car, which was $70 to fill up my little car, but luckily I only have to do that every 3 or so months. Food, that's a big one. If I get injured and have to go to the doctors, which I actually did, if something breaks on my car, that's always expensive. That last paycheck, I'm not struggling, but I have to be mindful of my expenditures, you see. My rent went up $60 last fall. And then my, which put, and that raise put my paycheck exactly at my rent. And then my, the apartment complex I live in, I've talked about this in previous weeks, was purchased by another management property. And they started doing things like re-bricking they hired peoples to jackhammer all the pavement out in front of the leasing office and replace it with brick. It looks nice. They built a new sign out front. Looks like they're resurfacing the swimming pool. They tore out the laundry room that's by the leasing office, and I don't know if they're going to make a lounge or if they're extending the room. I don't know what they're doing in there. I guess I could sneak over and take a peek through the window, but with them doing all of that, I became concerned. Oh golly, gosh, are they going to up rent again? No. Or will they? So a couple weeks ago, I got, how much is gas per gallon? Hello, Ronan. Lyrically C asks, how much is gas? The highest I've seen here is $6.20. I got gas this week. I think I paid $5.80 is what I paid. Because I live here. I know where to go. I know where the gas is cheap. But yeah, it's around $6. I paid $5.80, but I've seen $6.20. So luckily, I work from home, so I am in the fortunate position that I don't need to gas up my car very often. In fact, since the pandemic started, I've probably only filled my gas tank I don't know, 7 times, maybe. In Louisiana, it's $3.62. Wow. That's cheap, says Lyrically C. Ours is $4.25. $6.20! Yeah. I live in Southern California. I live in San Diego. I live in one of the more expensive places. Something I'll talk about here in a minute. So a couple of weeks ago, the new manager of my property, time to get a bike. Yeah, well, I don't go anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Manager of my property emailed me, and emailed all the tenants, and said, we are going to be sending out an addendum to your lease agreement. So what we're doing is, let me grab it real quick. So, my lease covers things like water, trash, pest control, and my parking space. They changed the terms of my lease, all of our leases. So now water is $25 per person per month. I live alone, so I'll just... trash is $20 per month, pest control is $2 per month, and the parking space is $30 per month. So I wrote the new landlord and I said, I'm not clear on this. Are you just itemizing what portion of my existing rent covers these services? Or are you saying that my rent no longer covers these services and I have to pay them separately? Because I'm concerned, 4 or 5 months ago, my rent went up by $60, and golly, I would hate to have it go up by another $77 so soon. Too soon. And he wrote back, your rent's not going up. Then I got the addendum, and I read it, and I emailed again. I said, you said my rent's not going up, so since my rent no longer covers these services, my rent is going down, and I have to pay these separately. So it's just an itemizing thing for you, right? Because if my rent no longer covers these services, and these services have value, which obviously they do because they seem to cost $77 a month, and you say my rent no longer covers this $77 worth of services, then my rent should decrease by $77. If it doesn't, then you've raised my rent. And he says, "Oh, well, if you want to look at it that way, I get." So my rent's going up another $77, so that's a $135 increase in the last 5 months. So that's unfortunate. What really aggravates me about that is the number fuckery. You know, it's just slimy. Just raise my rent. Like, who are you? Who do you think you're fooling? Is there a single tenant in the entire apartment complex who's like, "Oh, thank goodness, I thought my rent was going to go up"? It is. By $77. Oh, no, your rent's not going up. Your rent stays exactly the same. You just have to pay for the services that your rent used to cover. That's shitty. Now, would I have complained if my rent, if they just said, "Hey, your rent's going up another $77"? Why, yes, I would have. Because money is precious to me. You know, that $77 something, you know, I'd rather spend on a video game. So, when in the course of human events, your cost of living outpaces your salary, you need to make life changes. And here I am, once again. And I find myself with a bevy of potential changes to my life. I need only to select which one I, well, aim for. Because just because it's an option doesn't mean you're going to get it. Is my pay higher since I live in California? I hope so. Versus other places in the U.S. with the same occupation. It should be, but with the ability to work remotely, maybe that will change in the near future. I imagine that my job in San Diego probably pays more than my job in Nevada or Arizona, just because the cost of living here in Southern California is so much higher. You know, gas being $6 a gallon. So what are my options? Well, I could get a second job. I could try to get a second job. I don't want to do that, because when I'm done working, I would like to not play. You know, I don't want to finish work and then work some more. I would like there to be, because currently it's work, play, sleep, repeat, and then you have a weekend where it's play, sleep. I really don't want to do a work, sleep thing. That's not a good life. So I would prefer not to do that. Well, what else? Well, I did talk to my landlord, and I don't have to pay for my parking space. And I said, if I'm not paying for my parking space, what do you do with it? Are you going to let it to one of the residential homes down the street? He said, no. Where I am in the complex, there are two buildings. Um, there are 18 units in these two buildings. There are 18 parking spaces in the parking lot that's in front of these two buildings. So 1 unit per space. I suppose maybe someone in one of these units has a second car and they'd be happy to pay $50 on top of their $30. So if you want, so the one space is $30. If you want another space, it's an additional 50. Yeah, it's not 50 for both. It's 50 for the second space. So I don't, if I, save the $360 a year, did I do that right? $360 a year, by forfeiting my parking space and leaving it on the street, I could probably get away with it and just park there, because who the hell would be using that space right in front of my apartment? There are small things we could do. Drop the parking space. What if I got rid of my car? Granted, I still owe $12,000. But if I didn't have my car, I wouldn't have a monthly car payment. I wouldn't have bi-yearly car insurance. I pay $1,400 in car insurance every year for a car I rarely ever drive. So if I got rid of my car, well, then I would have to have all of my food delivered, and I haven't run the numbers on that to see if that would break even, or if that would be more expensive, or if that would be cheaper, and if I would be gaining money on that, would that matter? I don't know. Hello, Cafe Pox. I could try and further my career, some more. I was, somewhat successful. I got a promotion and a raise. Not a big one, but I did get one. Enough. Could I get another one? Get another promotion? Maybe. Could try. That's something I could shoot for. Or I could try to find another job that pays more. Or I could move somewhere cheaper. As I work remotely, so I could pull up stakes and move somewhere where the cost of living is not so golly gosh darn high. Such is as I am fortunate enough to work from home. I work permanently remotely. Granted, why do I live in Southern San Diego? Well, because the office is here. And I used to work in the office. But now that I work out of my home, I don't need to be here. I occasionally do go into the office to pick up equipment and stuff, but they could just mail it to me. So I have options. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But I do need to do something, because an extra $77 a month on top of the extra $60, that's cutting it really, really tight. I haven't run the numbers yet because it scares me. But considering that I already, I'm not like, when the pandemic started, I sat in the dark, because I turned the temperature down in the fridge and shut off all my lights and didn't run anything during the day because of the uncertainty. But now that things have leveled out for me, at least, I can keep my lights on and not really worried about that. That did barely anything to the power bill anyway, but Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet, and hopefully I'm not like overselling this. Like I'm not about to be out on the street. I will be fine. And currently I'm not like rationing food or anything. I just have to be careful. I just can't buy every video game I want, right? Um, I subscribe to a couple different streaming services. I subscribe to Shudder. I subscribe to Disney Plus. I subscribe to the Criterion Collection. I could stop that because that costs money. So, I have things I can cut out of my life. I have options. I'll be okay. But I would rather not worry about it, you know? I would rather to just have enough money that I don't have to worry about this. So, what am I going to do? Am I going to get paid more at my current job? Am I going to get a new job? Am I going to move somewhere cheaper? Am I going to cut some of my expenses? And frankly, I live pretty frugally, so that's kind of hard. Um, but there are things to go. So, what am I going to do? I don't know yet. Uh, but at least I have options. Um, so yeah, so that's how my week's been. I hope yours is well. Firelight, hello. Yeah, it's rough. I'm certainly not in a unique position here. I heard through someone else, that someone I know, I haven't spoken to her, but her rent went up $500. I don't know what she was paying before, but and I don't know if this is true or not. This is secondhand information, but I'm like, man, my rent went up $135. It's like, yeah, well, Gloria's went up $500. Wow. I hope that's not true. So, but at the very least, the new brickwork in front of the leasing office, it's very attractive. So, yeah. Adulting sucks sometimes, you know? Like when I was a kid, I didn't worry about any of this stuff. Food budget, I wasn't worried about that. Adulting. So, let's talk about other things. Can I work remotely for a call center in India? I suppose I could. I seriously doubt that call center would match even my current salary, and I need to make more than I do now. So, like, I need another $2,000 a year. So I don't know. So we'll let me put this away. So we will see what happens. I do want to be clear once again that I am not in danger of being out on the street anytime soon. So please don't worry about that. I am fine. Things will probably almost certainly be okay. I'm just going to have to make some changes and figure out what those changes are going to be. Honestly, I would rather focus on finishing Horizon Zero Dawn, the game that never ends, because I've got this sneaky suspicion that Sony is just updating that goddamn game in the background with new content constantly so that it never ends. Because I've been playing this game for like 2.5 months, well, 2 months because I took a 2-week break because I kind of burnt out on it, and it just keeps going. It doesn't stop. It never ends. It's not that I'm not enjoying the game, it's just really... I feel like I've been playing this game for 250 hours. I don't know what my time is on this game, but it feels like I've been playing it for over 200 hours. I'm still enjoying it, but I'm so ready for it to be done. That said, however long I've been playing it, it did finally get to the plot, which was nice. Like, did you know that the titular Zero Dawn is an actual thing? Yeah, there's an actual thing in the game called Zero Dawn. It refers to an actual thing. I didn't even know that. I thought it was just a silly video game title. I figured Horizon Zero Dawn didn't mean anything. For some reason, it never occurred to me that that might actually refer to something in-game. And it totally does. And it's kind of interesting. It's told in, like, the most boring way possible. Essentially, they lock you in a dungeon for 2 hours, and you just wander room to room, reading text logs and listening to audio files while a character talks to herself. Well, she has a dude on... She has a headset, and there's some dude talking to her. Occasionally, they throw, like, 5 or 6 guys in the room, even though they really shouldn't be down there. You know how you're playing Tomb Raider, and Lara Croft is, like, scaling the side of a mountain, and it's like... And she pulls herself up onto the top of the mountain, and she gets in a tomb, and there's like 16 bad guys in there. It's like, how the hell did they get in there? Is Lara Croft just an idiot? And there was like stairs on the other side of the mountain? And she really didn't have to climb up the sheer cliff face? How the hell are the bad guys getting in a locked room before me? How is that possible? But fighting the robot dinosaurs is still fun. So... I'm enjoying the game. It's just long, and storytelling-wise, it's not paced well. I think Horizon Zero Dawn possibly, at least from a narrative perspective, might have been better served with a more, not necessarily linear, but a more directed experience. Because if you play the game like I do, and you just do every side quest and available fun activity as it appears, you end up ignoring the plot for 2 months, and you don't know who anyone is or what's going on until it's ready to dump all of the plot in your lap. And it's, you know, honestly, not a bad plot. I'm kind of digging the whole what Zero Dawn actually is. It's just not... They're not using the medium of video game to deliver that story in a compelling way, methinks. I don't know why I'm dancing. The game's 5 years old now. I could probably spoil what it is, but hey, if you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet, then I didn't spoil anything. Aloy dies at the end. I know. Reverend Werewolf, hello. Same money issues, you know, yeah. And I try not to be too down about it. I talked about it because I felt the so-called number fuckery that my leasing office did with the, oh, no, we're not raising your rent. You just have to give us more money to continue living there. But your rent is exactly the same. Your rent has not changed a single penny. You just have to give us $77 more on top of your rent. The $77 is for something completely different. Yeah, it's for stuff that my rent used to cover. That, you know, that's the part I wanted to convey, because it's just kind of eye-rollingly amusing. It's not terribly funny when it happens to you, but really, just if you're gonna raise my rent, just raise my rent. Don't, because now I'm angry. Anyway, but yeah, I don't like complaining about stuff like that too much, because rough as I may have it, lots of people got a lot rougher than I do. So I do try to at least couch my language in a way that conveys I acknowledge that I don't have it as bad as many do. So, um, lyrically, see, I forgot so much of Horizon Zero Dawn. Ronan never finished it. I almost gave up on it. Like, I had to take a 2-week break because I burnt out on it. Again, I never disliked it. There's just so much of it. Like, it feels longer than a Yakuza game. It feels longer than Monster Hunter. I honestly don't know how long I've been playing it, but again, it feels like I've been playing it for so long. But maybe the end is in sight. Reverend Werewolf, my favorite Tomb Raider was the one where you could go to Laura's mansion and this little old butler would follow you around the house and I would always trap him in the refrigerator in the kitchen. What? I don't remember that. I've played several of the games. The only ones I'm really familiar with are the new trilogy and the second trilogy. So when they redid it, they did Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, and Tomb Raider Look at My Buns in This Ocean Wetsuit. Underworld, that's what it called. But they were selling it on Lara's Buns in the Wetsuit. Is that even on the cover? Let me look. Let's see. Nope. At least not on the Wii version. It's a crotch shot, but she's wearing her regular shorts. So, and then of course there's the Crystal Dynamics trilogy. So I've played those 6 games are the ones I'm most familiar with, and some of them have the Lara's home mansion bit, but I don't recall a butler ever being there. It's a big open empty mansion of games I've played anyway. Cafe Fox, I like the flavor text. That's a story about these 2 girls that work in a dam all on. Yeah, I think that's my favorite one. Most of it, let me read the rest of your comment. They get so bored they start a rock band pretending to become famous as music. Yeah, most of the flavor text, you know me, I love environmental storytelling and I love lore and I love reading everything, but most of the journals and audio logs and text things in this game I've found just completely boring. But yeah, there's like a water treatment plant somewhere in the game that you wander through, and all the audio logs in there are from these 2 women who work there who start their own rock band just banging on pipes. That one I liked. It's really the only one that held my interest. The rest of them I'm just like, meh, okay. You know? Enjoyed the forges in Horizon. I'm generally the gameplay I enjoy. I'm going to dislike the final boss fight. Aww. The PS1. Yeah, I didn't. I played, I think, the original Tomb Raider, 1 or 2. I know it was on the PlayStation, and I thought it was terrible because it plays like ass, like most everything. Plays and looks like ass, like most everything on the original PlayStation. It really wasn't until Tomb Raider Legend that I was like, wow, Tomb Raider's cool! What a fun game! When it's not on the PlayStation. Alright. Conspiracy theory time! Earlier this week, Nintendo delayed Breath of the Wild 2. No longer will Breath of the Wild 2 come out this year. No. For Breath of the Wild 2, says Nintendo, is now scheduled for sometime in 2023. Next year. 2 days later, the ESA cancels E3. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, that's my conspiracy theory. So bummed was the ESA that Nintendo canceled or delayed Breath of the Wild 2 that they're like, no reason to even have E3 this year. And I did find it kind of amusing. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong places on the internet, but does anyone care? And that's not rhetorical. I'm generally curious. Now, I like E3, or rather, I like learning about all the new toys I can potentially play with in the next year or two. I've never really cared specifically about E3. I admire an event that allows, LA peeps a nice bit of income every year, and they don't get that this year, and that blows. I've been to E3 once, and I was like, yeah, well, I have no desire to ever go here again. But I found it interesting. ESA this week says we're not doing E3 this year. No physical E3. We're not even doing a digital E3. And far as I can tell, gamers' collective response is, eh. Alright, we're canceling E3. Eh. No physical E3 this year. Eh. Not even a digital E3. Eh. But, says the ESA, we will be back in 2023. Meh. I don't think anyone cares, ESA. Except Greg. Greg cares deeply. But other than Greg, I don't know that anyone cares. Because while Nintendo is like 10 years behind almost everything, internet, voice chat, graphics, some type of Game Pass-like feature or streaming service. They really were ahead of the game when it came to streaming digital presentations. Because Nintendo dropped out of the E3 thing a long time ago and says, you know what, we're just doing a digital presentation and we're doing it on our own terms. Well, now all the companies do that. You don't need E3 anymore, because all the companies just do their own digital presentations whenever they feel like it. They can control it gives them more control. It's a lot cheaper. Yeah, you don't have the pageantry, but I don't think as many people really care, because it's about the games. You don't have weird stuff going wrong on stage. Microphones dropping out, or worrying about the people you grabbed from the office to be presenters when they're not comfortable with public speaking, and they don't know how to, and they see pause for applause on the teleprompter, and they will pause whether there's applause or not, and you can't fault them for it because they're not professional presenters. But it's really uncomfortable for the audience to watch. And the audience doesn't have to worry about things like whoever's directing whoever's the show director cutting to the camera that's filming the audience instead of allowing... How many times have you been watching like one of the big three presentations and it's like, okay, here's the new footage for God of War, Halo, or Zelda, or whatever, and, okay, oh my gosh, I'm gonna see Link, or Master Chief, or Kratos, or something, oh my gosh, there it is, and then the camera cuts to the audience, and you see the audience going, yay! And it's like, no, goddammit, the direct feed of the video game clip, I don't give a shit about the people in the audience, ah! You don't have to worry about that. Maybe I was the only one who did. Me and Greg. But, yeah. So, let me look at the chat. Does anyone care? Lyrically C cares about E3, so it's Greg and Lyrically C. DTTTT. Extend the game. Chicago says, I couldn't give a rat's ass about E3. Each console can just do their own digital event. Yeah. Cafe says, I liked watching E3, like the Super Bowl for gamers. I'd crack open a beer and watch the presentations. Right. And we can still do that without the ESA. Because Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, at least so far, still generally seem to do a, June is E3 month. Let's do some big presentations in June. Just, it's tradition. Ubisoft. Man, who was it? Konami. That I forget who it was, but boy, there was that one Konami event 15 years ago, and I don't know if that guy was drunk on his ass or what, but it was a thing. Or the infamous Wii Music event from Nintendo. It's like, on the other hand, Nintendo probably, even if you want to think if that were like a pre-recorded presentation, a digital presentation that they scripted and directed and filmed and edited, they'd look at it and go, "Nah, that's not going to work. We need to cut this or do something else." Nintendo probably would have, if they were doing Nintendo Directs back in 06, 07, whenever the hell that was, they probably would have put exactly that in the Nintendo Direct. But Matthew says, "Nah, good riddance to bad rubbish. E3 outlived its usefulness. PAX was better." I've never been to PAX, but the people I've spoken to who have, 201 agree with you on that one. And I agree, E3 is no longer relevant. We don't need E3. I imagine all of the people who ran hotels in the LA Convention Center area and all of the models and folks that they'd hire to be booth presenters and stuff, they're out of some work, and that blows. But yeah, we don't really need it to be a big physical space anymore. It was never a great venue for trying out video games because you couldn't hear anything. It took 4 hours to do. And today, with the internet, even here in America, and our internet is like woefully behind almost everywhere else, you can just show everybody your video games. You can do interviews. You can do weird presentations. You can do skits. You can make demos available for us to play at home, and we could actually hear them. No need to stand in line for 4 hours or 9 hours, Nintendo. Yeah, I was in a pretty long line to get into the Wii booth. Ugh. Although I did get to talk to Charles Martinet, so that was fun. Lyrically say that Wii Music, I think, was the reason they started the Nintendo Direct. There you go. And the Nintendo Treehouse events, which they've continued. I love the Treehouse events too. Yeah, it's great. They're like, okay, we've got 10 to 20 games. What we're going to do is we're going to get this. We're going to sit some people on a couch and we're going to play the games for like 10 or 20 minutes. And then you can watch us play the games. You could have what we might call game play, and it's wonderful because you can do a weird, stylish teaser trailer that doesn't show any gameplay to communicate tone or story, and then answer Andrew's question. But what's the game though? By saying, and now we're going to sit down and play the game for 20 minutes. So yeah, I love the Treehouse event. But they don't need to actually be at the LA Convention Center to do that. They can just do that. Hell, they could do that every other month if they really wanted to. Werewolf says, "What do you think about what we've seen from Monster Hunter Sunbreak so far? What's my favorite new monster out of the three lords?" Oh, I was going to say my favorite new monster is that goofy little gremlin-looking guy. I don't have the picture anymore, but I showed him off on a previous... So of the three that we've seen, King Kong, Werewolf, and Vampire Bat Dragon, hard to say. I think... I think the King Kong one is the most from a fight perspective, is the most interesting that I've seen so far. Because he's got that dual element thing going. He's got, fire on one hand and ice on the other hand. That's interesting. Just from a visual design, I think the Vampire Bat Dragon is probably just the neatest looking. Although we haven't seen as much from that one as far as how the fight will go. The werewolf is pretty cool, but so far it's doing exactly what I would expect the werewolf to do. It bites and it swipes. We'll see what else it does. Microsoft and Sony have digital-only consoles. They can do digital-only presentations, says Chicago. Agreed. Okay, shoot, I should have prepped this. I did not prep this. I am a bad person, and I feel bad. Hang on, I can fix this. I can fix this. This is something I can fix. Where did I put it? Here we go. Alright. Do you like rolls? Do you like them crunchy? Well, then you might like Crunchyroll, a service that streams anime. If you like to watch anime, and I know you like to watch, maybe you've seen some on Crunchyroll. Well, one of the things that people like about the role of Crunch is it does simultaneous streaming of shows that are airing in Japan. So when they air in Japan, very quickly they air on Crunchyroll. So you don't have to be months behind. Simulcasts, they call it. And that's cool. If you pay whatever the membership fee is for Crunchyroll, you can watch them day and date with no ads. It's great. But if you are on a budget and you don't want to pay for your anime, well, you can watch them a week late with ads. So, if you are enjoying the final season, or is it, of Attack on Titan, and you think you can avoid spoilers on social media, then you can just wait a week to see the new episode of Attack on Titan, and watch it with ads. But it's free. It's just like the television days of yore, where we'd watch our cartoons and be interrupted every 10 minutes with a 2 or 3 minute commercial break. Well, that is no longer, because Crunchyroll says we are making changes, and so instead of so what they're doing is, instead of offering the shows a week late with ads, they are getting rid of that. And every season there's around 20 to 30 new shows, right? So what Crunchyroll is doing, for those who are not going to buy a subscription, is they are offering up the first 3 episodes of 8 of next season's shows with ads, but they're free. So in other words, if you want to watch anime, you better pay for it, because Crunchyroll's taken that away. I don't know if that is going to be the same thing on Funimation, because one bought the other. I would imagine probably. But what bothers me about this, and, as Matthew pointed out to me on Twitter earlier this week, ad revenue is garbage. Hell, that's why game politics is not around anymore. We had to close our doors in 2016, 2017, something like that, because we could not, the ECA decided they didn't want us anymore. The ECA bought game politics, I think, in like 2006 or 7, and they funded that operation. They paid for our managing editor and contributing editor, me. But in 2015 or something like that, they decided to go another direction and but they gave us the rights to run game politics, and we tried to find an ad solution, but we just did not make enough money because we needed at least one person, like James, our managing editor. We needed to make enough money to pay James to run it full time. We couldn't, like, not even close. So I could understand if Crunchyroll's changes are the matter of ad revenue is garbage and we genuinely can't afford to do it this way anymore. You know, I would understand that. If they said that, I would still be disappointed because I'm not going to pay for a subscription to Crunchyroll, which means I'm not going to be able to watch Spy X Family, which looks really cute. What bothers me is, am I not seeing it? Or, hang on a second. There we go. What bothers me is this is the way Crunchyroll phrased it. We want to encourage as many fans as possible to explore new shows and see the full benefits of Crunchyroll Premium Access. We make more than 1,000 hours available for viewers to sample free of charge through our ad-sponsored tier, and will continue to offer free content going forward. But only the first 3 episodes of only 8 of the 24 or so shows per season. Again, maybe they have to do it this way just for a money thing, but this whole encourage as many fans as possible to explore new shows, that's bullshit. Don't lie to me. I really hate that. That's horse poops. Because no one on Earth is buying this. Well, we're eliminating the free with ads after a week viewing option in order to encourage as many fans as possible to explore new shows. You see, because if you want to encourage as many fans as possible to explore new shows, then certainly you would make only the first 3 episodes free. Well, for only 8 of the 24 or so shows. Only for a limited time, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And with ads. So the first 3... let me see if it's on here. The first 3 episodes are only going to be available for a month, it looks like. Maybe 6 weeks. It depends on when they actually start airing, and I'm not sure. The first 3 episodes of the spring titles will be available for free ad-supported viewing 1 week after their subscription-only premiere until the end of May. After that, all episodes will require subscriptions. And again, I want to be clear that I sympathize with money issues. Of course I do. That Crunchyroll, maybe Crunchyroll just can't run an effective business unless it does this way. And fine, but don't give me this bullshit about we're doing this as a favor to you. We're limiting your options to encourage as many of you as possible to explore new shows. No, you're not. What you're doing has the exact opposite effect, and I don't believe you are so phenomenally stupid that you don't realize that. And if you're not that phenomenally stupid, Crunchyroll, it means you think we are. And that hurts. It cuts deep, Crunchyroll. So, there's no good way to announce that. I mean, you're reducing functionality, you're removing options from some people. I get it. It's like, well, we either do this or we don't exist as a business. Maybe that, or maybe your CEOs are just greedy. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But don't lie to me. Yeah? Don't lie to me. Oh, we're not increasing your rent. We're just charging you more. Don't lie to me. I don't like it. It makes me mad. Crunchyroll, says Cafe Fox. Matthew says, I also have to wonder, given the target market, how bad was the ad block rate? Oh, how many people were using ad block? Fair point. Also, Funimation is no more. They are moving the catalog over to Crunchyroll. Oh, so they're going to shutter the site. Okay. Currently, both sites exist, and you can watch stuff on one or the other. Most of the content is on both that I've seen. Currently, that, as Matthew says, it's probably going to change. That may be a factor. It's like, look, we had this ad thing going on, you know, the free with ads after a week, but the majority of people blocked the ads. So the advertisers stopped paying us. Sorry. And unlike other companies I could name, and I will, because two middle fingers to Hulu, Crunchyroll's video player I've never had a problem with. Like, their ad rolls have, far as I can remember, have never broken their video player. And their ads are relevant. Their ads are all just advertisements for Crunchyroll and the various premium services and advertisements for other anime shows that you may want to watch as a person currently watching anime right now. And they don't just repeat the same advertisement multiple times per ad roll. You know? There's 3 ad breaks. There's usually, I don't know, 90 seconds or maybe 2 minutes worth of ads. So it's usually 3 or 4 commercials. You usually see 3 or 4 different commercials, and different commercials per ad break. So it's fine as far as ads go. I mean, I don't like ads either. I would rather just watch the show. They can drop in weird places. I've never been to Japan. I've never watched TV in Japan, but looking at anime, it looks like Japan has 1 ad break in the middle of the episode. Because most of the anime I watch have a conspicuous eye catch, and, you know, and now for a commercial break. We return from commercial break. And there's only one of them that's in the middle of the episode. So I would assume, I don't know if I'm correct, but I would assume that in Japan, there's 1 ad break in the middle of the show, and that's it. So here you get 1 there, but you also get 1 or 2 more that can cut the scene in a weird place. And I do wish they would be better about where they place their ad breaks, but, you know. So, at the end of the day, yeah. It looks like I'm going to, not be watching a lot of anime unless I can find another legal solution. I imagine a lot of people are like, "Oh, okay, I'll just pirate it then." You know, I don't know how many new subscriptions this is actually going to drive. I'm not saying it's the wrong choice, but I don't know how effective this is actually going to be. Because I imagine a bunch of people who were willing to wait a week are like, oh, well, okay, I'll just pirate them. Plenty places I can do that. Don't even have to watch ads. I ain't paying 7, 8, 10, 15. I don't know what their... I don't know what Crunchyroll's membership is. So... but I still like anime that is good. So, Ronan says, sorry to disappoint you, Andrew, but companies are pathologically incapable of being honest even when it's in their best interest. Seems so, yeah. Sony, yep, Sony does own it, yeah. If that's the case, yeah, they weren't making money on ads, so change makes sense. Like, advertising your own stuff doesn't make you money. Yeah, that is kind of odd. I mean, not all of the ads were for Crunchyroll. They were for shows. I'm not sure who was buying those. I imagine the producers of the other shows, they're like, hey, if we can get you to watch our show, I don't know if there's some revenue share that we're not privy to. I don't know. No idea how that works. So I have no idea. So, last thing. What is it called? It is called... Is it here? Yeah. So back in 2002, a movie came out called Ice Age. It's not very good. I don't recall seeing any of the sequels, and there's like 5 of them at least. But the movie was advertised by showing a slapstick sequence of a saber-toothed squirrel trying desperately to get an acorn. I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, if the movie's anything like that, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. So my grandmother and I, we went to see Ice Age back in 2002, and Scrat the Squirrel was funny. The rest of the movie left me pretty cold. But I remember thinking, if they want to make a series of shorts starring Scrat the saber-toothed squirrel, I'm all for that. Well, here we are 20 years later, and Scrat Tales premieres in a couple of weeks on Disney+. It's a series of shorts starring Scrat the saber-toothed squirrel. So, it took 2 decades, but my whim is being serviced at long last. It's $8 a month? Okay. Yeah, I don't, I'm not paying $8 a month. I already spend enough money on various streaming services. I don't like anime that much. No, some of the shows are really good. What's still going? Been enjoying Ranking of Kings and How a Realist Goober, what the hell's it called? How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. Been enjoying this. Oh, I actually watched The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt, which is another show that's airing right now with almost the same premise. So I watched it just to compare the 2 shows and see what the difference was, and they are remarkably similar. I mean, it kind of feels like that whole Volcano, Dante's Peak, or Ants in a Bug's Life, that kind of thing where you had dueling movies of pretty much the same premise. The Genius Prince is not an isekai like the other one is, but they're both about a genius guy or a very smart individual who is tasked with governing a kingdom, and all the things that they do to try and pull the kingdom out of debt and make it prosperous and a nice place to live for all the people. Now, in Realist Hero, he's the guy who gets isekai'd, and he's like pulled from another world. Very popular genre right now. It's almost like people really hate the planet and most of the people here. I mean, I guess I've talked about this before, but it's not terribly surprising to me that a lot of our stories are, man, I would like to live somewhere else. Any other world or reality is really fine. So he gets pulled into a fantasy kingdom, and it's up to him to use his modern knowledge of public works and economics and social systems and stuff like that to implement policy that will benefit the people of his kingdom. And he's doing it out of basic altruism, because he's like, well, I'm here. I kind of care for my new home country, so let's do as well as I can. The Genius Prince, on the other hand, he just wants to raise the value of his kingdom so he can sell it for parts and retire. And just sip coconut water on a beach or whatever you do when you're rich. But the problem is he's just too good and too lucky at his job. So he keeps getting stymied by his own successes. Like, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go to war with these people, and when we lose, I'll be able to just, strip mine for parts, and then I'll just be out of here. But then his army wins. And he's like, no! And so he takes over, the neighboring country's gold mine, and it's out of gold, and he's like, well, crap, it's fine, but let's get out while the getting's good. Oh, no, we've found a new gold vein. He's like, oh, son of a bitch. He's like, I can't actually leave now because I'm just too good at this. So, they're both, I think Realist Hero's probably better because I actually enjoy the characters more. But I have to say that Genius Prince, also surprisingly bloodily violent, Genius Prince is. Not gory or anything, but people get beheaded in this one with blood. I was like, oh, all right. But Genius Prince has made me laugh out loud several times. One that sticks out is he's entertaining a duke or something from another kingdom. And the duke's like, oh, so you fence, do you? And he's like, yeah. He's like, let's fence each other. And he's like, oh, damn it. Because he's easily going to be able to take this guy, but he's looking at the political ramifications of just completely beating him or, throwing it so he loses. And he's like, okay, so what I'll do is I'll disarm him and then I'll drop the sword and we'll call it a draw. Well, the guy, trips at him, so he ends up disarming him. He ends up smacking him on accident or something like that. And so he drops the sword and it's like, oh, no, we disarmed each other, it's good. And then the other guy gets really pissed and charges at him. And he's like, oh, no, this is a political incident. I'll just pretend I don't see him charging, and I'll just duck out of the way, duck under his attack, like I'm just picking up my sword and didn't see it coming so that we can both save face. Well, the guy swings at him, he ducks, misses, then falls out the window, stumbles out onto the balcony, and falls over the railing and just completely plummets off of the castle rampart and breaks his damn neck. And the prince is like, no! No! And so the duke's dead, and he's like, oh, god damn it! And I was busting up laughing. I thought that was hilarious. So, both shows, for me anyway, definitely have a charm that I found worth watching. I did mention Realist Hero weeks back, and I said, oh, are they doing the harem anime with this? Well, 20 episodes later, I'm happy to report that they're not doing a harem anime, but they're not doing a harem anime either. It's kind of the thing where it's still the thing where almost all the women are ridiculously busty and all of them absolutely fawn over our genius hero, Realist Hero. And so at this point in the show, he's got 4 wives. There's no sex or anything, but so it's kind of there, but it's kind of not, and it's kind of stupid. But it doesn't totally get in the way of the story. Where the story fell short for me is there's a demon kingdom up north, and all the war stuff I don't find as interesting as his economic and social works programs. Building roads and schools and sanitation and all this cool stuff. I find all that stuff a lot more interesting than, now we have to fight with the dragon people or the demon people or whatever it is. Just what interests me more right now. And that tends to be a theme with me a lot. It's like, I live in reality. There's plenty of terrible people. So I like shows where people band together and work together and accomplish great things and are happy and don't have to worry about other people who are just terrible. It's one of the reasons why I think the end of Attack on Titan has frustrated me. Because as I mentioned before, it's like, oh, wow, what's really going on with the whole Titans thing? It's just racism. It's just racism. It's just bigotry. That's it. And the show is doing this both sidesy bullshit that drives me nuts. I mean, because there's a clear bad guy here. There's clearly a group of people who are absolutely, completely, 100% in the wrong. And it's like, well, you killed some of our guys. Yeah, yes, we did. After you came over, kicked down our door, and let a bunch of monsters in to rip us apart. Well, your ancestors hundreds of years ago... Okay, well, number one, doesn't matter, because that was hundreds of years ago. None of them are around anymore. Plus, you cast a spell that wiped our memories of any of that. So we don't even have consciousness of guilt. We have no idea what the hell your beef is. We're trapped on an island, stuck in a town surrounded by monsters. And still, you're stirring up shit. And now you want to complain that we killed some of you? In self-defense? No! Piss all the way off! You schmuck. Now, for those of you who are watching the show, is Aaron wrong? Yes. Yes, he is. Unless there's some last-minute thing where it's like, aha, you thought I was really doing this, but I'm really doing this. Which I wouldn't put it past the show. You know, no, genociding people is never the right answer. Yes, that's a bad thing. Yes, I'm very sorry that your family got killed in this war. But again, still your fault for starting it. You could have just left us all alone. We were on an island surrounded by monsters, not hurting anybody. So... this is all on you. Yeah, some of the stuff that's now befalling you is tragic. And shouldn't happen. And now your lands are getting genocided. And that is a bad thing. And we are going to help you stop it. If we can. But again, let's be clear about this. It's all your fault. You are in the wrong here. You are the bad guys. Let's be clear. None of this, oh, well, you... No. This is on you. You know, is your homes and peoples getting genocided? Yes, and it's your fault. None of this would be happening if you weren't nasty little bigots. Sorries. And the problem is there are some points in the show where I don't think the show realizes that. I think the show's trying to, well, you know, both sides have blood on their hands. Nope. No, not how that works. No, it's not a both sidesy thing. Both sides is when you and I see a movie and we both have different reactions to it. And we both have valid points to make about what we liked or didn't like about the movie. That's a both sides thing. Both sides is not, I want to kill this group of people. Well, I, as a member of that group of people, do not want you to kill me. Both sides, you see? No. Nope. No. Bad Attack on Titan. Bad. I liked it better when I didn't know what was going on. I'm still watching the show, though, and I'll watch it. I mean, we're up in episode 80, you know. I'll watch until it's done. I'm invested now. So, but I am bummed out that the whole thing was like, oh, no, it's just bigotry? Oh. Yeah. Well, that's less interesting. What's really going on? Oh, it's just bigots. Oh, well. Yeah. This whole thing started with bigotry. Oh, okay. But both sides, you see. I mean, yeah, we tried to kill you, but you tried to defend yourself, and I got hurt. I mean, it's like if I'm sorry. All right, that's enough. Did I have anything else on my list to talk about? No. That's good. We are done with the podcast. We have cast our pods, and now we will all go to bed, except those of us who won't. Because we've got to get up bright and early, or stay up bright and late. Dark and late? I don't know. Yeah, bright and early, dark and late. That's how it works. So that we can continue our adventures in Trails in the Sky, second chapter, which I think we're coming up on the end. I have one more fish to catch, and I looked it up, and it's in the Chaldea Tunnel, but there's no lights in the tunnel, so it looks like I can't fish in there. So apparently there's a second fishing spot, but it's in like the Saphiril Tower, which is on the other side of Rouen, and I'm currently in Elmo Village, so we're gonna have to walk all the way back to Zeiss, all the way through the Chaldea Tunnel, all the way to Rouen, take the boat across the bridge, because the bridge don't work, and then walk all the way, past Rouen to wherever the Saphiril Tower is, and then climb all the way up to the 5th floor, to the fishing spot in there, because that's where the one fish I'm missing is. And what's funny is the last time I was there, I did fish in there, but I didn't use the right bait. I think you have to use a crab. So we'll try and go get our final fish, and then we're probably going to finish up at the Zeiss region and head on into Grand Cell and see how Nona is doing. She's the woman who wanted to open her own store, and there was a store location available, but she didn't get it. Someone else did, so I'm curious to see how she's doing. And we haven't seen Anton in a while. They seem to be doing a thing where in the first half of the game, there's a character named Anton. He was the guy who didn't have a shadow in the first game, so I kept making fun of him for being a ghost. Anton and Ricky. When the second chapter started, he was just everywhere you went, and I think the last time we saw him was Roland, and we haven't seen him in a while, so I'm wondering if he's going to make a final appearance before the end of the game, or if his story is done. So Ronan says, this is why I'm not a completionist, because I don't want to walk all the way halfway across the map for one damn fish. Yeah, I'm not a completionist either. I don't care about like the bestiary. I haven't even looked. I don't care. But I wasn't even going for the completing my fish list. But I noticed I had one space empty, and I was like, well, where is it? Oh, it's over there. Okay, we can go get it. So we'll go get the last fish, or we'll try. I think I have a couple crabs in my inventory. So anyway, thanks everyone for It's Not a Bad Way to Live, says Cafe Fox. Well, everyone, enjoy your crunchy rolls while you can, because like rent, the price is just gonna go up apparently. So have a good evening, everyone. Sleep well. Make sure you brush your teeth before you go to bed. Flossing's good. And hope to see you tomorrow for some more Trails in the Sky. All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.